So PlayStation just dropped a massive update on Ghost of Yotei, including the story, gameplay and its release date, and many gamers started seeing similarities between Yotei and Assassin's Creed Shadows and started comparing them or getting worried about these similarities. But you don't need to worry that much. Let me explain. Firstly, the good news is that Ghost of Yotei is set to release on October 2nd, 2025 exclusively for PlayStation 5, meaning that if the game doesn't get delayed, we get to experience it in a few months. Secondly, the game's combat system seems to have evolved with new weapons and mechanics. What's more, we finally know the reason why Sucker Punch chose a female protagonist for the sequel over Jin, but more on that in a bit. First off, the most important change is the weapon variety. Atsu can wield dual katanas, a spear, a kusarigama, as well as a tanegashima. At least those are some of the new weapons that we can see in the trailer, and it's not clear whether there will be more or not. Regardless, this is a massive improvement compared to Jin's single weapon approach. Even though you could still use multiple stances during close quarter combat or a bow and arrow for the range attacks, the lack of variety in main weapons was a letdown. Also, by seeking out Weapon Sensei, Atsu can learn new skills to help smooth her journey, but additions and changes aren't necessarily limited to the weapons, as players can now command a wolf companion as well. This means that the wolf could be used during combat, which is a nice addition. When it comes to exploring the world though, things get a little bit more interesting. The game takes place in Ezo or Hokkaido as we know it today, and while the world will be huge, there will also be lots of things to do, including tracking down bounties or participating in different activities, some of which were also present in Ghost of Tsushima. Apparently, Atsu can set up a campfire anywhere in the world, which makes me wonder what sort of benefit this might have to the gameplay. Maybe some gameplay buffs, the ability to change the time of day, or something else entirely. We'll have to wait and see, but that's hardly the only change, since there will be more freedom to approach the open world and even the main enemies, which brings us to the story beats, Atsu, and the main target list. Ghost of Yotei's story takes place more than 300 years after Ghost of Tsushima and tells a revenge story based on 6 unique individuals who make up Atsu's main target list. 16 years before the game's main events, this gang of outlaws slaughtered Atsu's family, burned her house down and left her to die, but she survived and seeks revenge to take him down one by one. Now, many fans who have played Assassin's Creed Shadows might start seeing the similarities between the two games' stories. Both share the revenge theme, both takes place in Japan, and both feature a non-linear nature to approach the targets. While more story details are yet to be announced, there are clear differences between the two that we can already tell. One is the fact that Yotei takes place in a different part of Japan compared to Shadows, and the other is the number of enemy targets. In AC Shadows, we face 12 main targets, while in Ghost of Yotei there are only 6. That smaller number could actually be a strength. Instead of spreading the story across a dozen loosely connected targets, having just 6 might allow the game to dig deeper into each one, making every encounter more personal and more cinematic. But judging by the studio's history and PlayStation games' overall quality in cutscenes and cinematic storytelling, I expect these parts to feature high-quality cinematic cutscenes and animations. But whether the non-linearity of the story will hold in the grand scheme of things remains to be seen. However, something more interesting is the reason the studio created a new protagonist for the game instead of just following Jin's story. According to Sucker Punch Productions, the reason we play as Atsu is that other than the fact that they love telling origin stories, the world of Yotei is a pretty dangerous place, and it makes Atsu the perfect choice for exploring it. Not many people would expect this character to be so powerful, yet she's on the rump of a vengeance quest. Also, as players progress in the game, the Ghost of Yotei's female protagonist will be named the Onryo, which means an unkillable vengeance-seeking ghost in Japanese folklore. And thematically, it works. Atsu being underestimated fits perfectly with the Onryo idea. A ghost driven by vengeance that no one sees coming. It's not just about switching protagonists, it's about telling a story where power comes from trauma, silence, and surprise. That might actually feel fresher than just picking up Jin's story again. All in all, while there are clear similarities between Yotei and Shadows, there are also lots of differences that make each title stand out differently, so don't go and assume that one game copied another. But do you think changing the protagonist instead of continuing with Jin was the right choice? Also, what are you most excited or concerned about in Ghost of Yotei? Share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe if you like this type of content.